Welcome to the Generation Why Not podcast with Ruth Klein, a 6-time best-selling author, creative brand strategist, and book coach for small businesses, entrepreneurs, authors, mompreneurs, and professionals today. She is the president of the award-winning firm Expert Celebrity Branding, and the Wall Street Journal calls her the marketing maven. This podcast will be interviewing this generation, those who are doing things differently because of their perceptual shift of what success looks like, and who are driven by attitude, not age. They know anything is possible, and you'll hear how this generation feels the fear and keeps going anyway to achieve their goals and dreams, whether they be in business, sports, the arts, or lifestyle.
Welcome to Generation Why Not. I'm Ruth Klein, your host, and we have someone very interesting on the show today, and her name is Rachel Galant. And far from the days of baking at home and racing to sell her cookies at farmers market, Rachel now remains completely engaged in every aspect of her business, Jackie's Cookie Connection. And since Rachel is a hands-on, passionate leader and an absolute driving force at the heart of her company, she has gone on to create a line of impossibly delicious, gluten-free, vegan varieties that many people say are the best I have ever tasted in the cookies. And I can absolutely attest to that. I've had both Rachel's delicious regular cookies and gluten-free cookies, and including now macaroons that flew out of the house because they were so delicious and big at that. Please help me welcome Rachel Galant. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Ruth. How are you?
So great to have you on today.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I know you have an interesting story in terms of how you got to where you are today. So let me ask you, how did you get started doing what you're doing?
You know, it's really interesting. I grew up in the cookie world. My mom owned cookie stores when I was little. So in about 1979, she had stores in Washington, D.C. and in New York City. So she had brick and mortars where she sold her big chocolate chip cookies. And so for years I grew up eating, tasting, helping with cookies. And, you know, we was pretty much my life. And then we moved out to California, and her, you know, she's an artist. And so we just kind of put the cookies on hold for a while. And in 2014, you know, we had always made the cookie dough and kept it in our refrigerator and our freezer for guests and company. And so everyone used to tell me, you know, you should sell these are so good. You need to do something. And at that time, you know, I was a stay-at-home mom. I had gotten my doctorate in pharmacy, but I had the luxury of being able to stay home with my 2 young children at the time. And so, you know, I really did want to get back into doing something. And so that kind of drove me into making the cookies. And so I started selling them and winded up selling them at Century City at the farmers market. And, you know, lo and behold, out of nowhere, probably I was there for a week, and the execs from Century City found me, Westfield, came up to me and asked me if I would open up a kiosk there in the mall. And so I said, sure, why not? So, you know, that went from baking in my kitchen at home into finding a commercial kitchen in an instant and creating a kiosk and selling cookies. So so that's how I got into the cookie world. Pretty much.
How difficult was it to do all that? I mean, you know, here you're content and you have a degree in pharmacy and you're staying home, and all of a sudden you do this for fun, and now you have to turn it into a business. Was that difficult, or what did you run into?
It was difficult, but I think that, I didn't see it as difficult at the time. If I look back on it, I think all the steps that it took and the learning process was a learning process. There definitely was a learning curve to it all. And, we went from one kiosk in the first 2 months to opening up 6 kiosks in 6 different malls. So
Wow.
I grew very, very quickly in that avenue. And so because by nature, I am a researcher, that's how I went to school, so this was a challenge for me that I kind of welcomed in my life at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But, it definitely changed the dynamic of my life very quickly. And yes, and so in that process of having the kiosk, we then, figured out the babies, which are the crunchy cookies that have a long shelf life.
Right, right. And that's how I found out about you. But being in business and business people are always wondering how to scale up. And once you scale up, you have to let go of some control. And so it sounds like you had to let go of some control because you couldn't be in 6 different places. How did you handle that?
No, you're right. It was definitely, I am definitely that control person. I have that in my nature. And I don't know if all
I hear you.
And so it definitely was difficult. And I think actually in the end, that's probably why I stopped being in the kiosk. Because having to be in control of and manage all these different people and personalities at different kiosks and traffic, the change in retail locations was definitely difficult, and I definitely had help. I had help doing it, which was great. My husband at the time, my husband has passed away since then, and but during the beginnings, he was very helpful in helping me with the kids and running to different kiosks if I needed him to. So I definitely had help.
Yeah. Well, you certainly had help, but again, it's being somewhat of a bit of a control person myself and wanting to have it right. I was just wondering how you did that. So I know that there were a pivotal moment that changed the trajectory of your life and your business. Can you share what happened there and how you dealt with it?
Right. So, it really was, I'm sure a lot of people deal with different adversities in their life and makes them change what they're doing and the way they operate. But yeah, it was something I was not expecting, and I don't think anybody would. My husband, we had been married for 15 years. Just, on a Sunday, he was working from home, and he just dropped dead. And it was, we were shocked. I was shocked, obviously, and mortified, and just the entire, numb from that happening. And I had 2 young children at the time. It's been almost 4 years now, but it feels like yesterday. It just is very almost surreal. But, I had no other options. I had to show my children what it looked like to move forward, to not get stuck in bed and get stuck not, doing anything. And, they had to go to school the next week, and we had to continue. I had to be the person to show them that they're going to be okay, and we're going to be all right, and, we're all going to move forward. And it was definitely challenging, and I would be in my bed crying to myself, at night, but during the day I had to, I had this business, and this was what I had worked for, and I had put money into it, and I was going to make it work.
Yeah, no, I hear that. And And do you find that had you not had children, it would have been more difficult? And had you not had a business, do you feel it would have been more difficult?
Yes. I feel like I was given a gift because I was given a gift that I had decided to go into this business and start this for myself, that I had something, because I always said that. I said, it's just crazy that I decided to do this when I did. And, thank God I did, because it definitely motivated me and gave me the ability to work really hard, but also be there for my children when I needed to. And so, it's guilty as I feel all the time going to work and having to, do things that I always want to. It has lent me the ability to pick them up from school when I need to, or, and then go back to work, or I just have the flexibility that I wouldn't have had.
Yeah, exactly. And it also gave you an opportunity, it sounds like, to at least just for moments at a time, think of something else during that crisis. And it's, you had to pick the kids up. You had to take them to school. You had to go to work. And even though it was a very, very traumatic time for you, I would imagine it just gave you a little relief, just even a few moments at a time, to focus on something else that you knew you had to focus on.
Right. I mean, I had employees that were counting on me. I had the store, because at that point we had opened, our location had just opened on Bundy and Santa Monica, our cookie store and bakery. We had just built that. And so I had just finished building that, and I had employees, and, they were counting on me. So, I didn't have an option either.
Right. Exactly. So let me ask you, you said something that, so many women feel, and that is, even though you feel guilty every day, and it sounds like you still feel guilty that being a working mom with children?
I do. They have a tendency to make me feel guilty, and maybe it's just me allowing myself to. They grew up with me being around 24/7. I was the mom who did everything, and so was there for everything. And now there are times when I can't be there for everything, and so I do feel bad, and especially because I'm their only parent, it is even worse. So I do feel guilty.
I hear that. And, it's interesting. So many working moms do. It's like one foot is out the door and one foot is still home. And yet, I don't know if you have found this, but I found that when I wasn't around as much with the children, two things happened. Number one, I became a lot more resourceful in terms of completely being there for them when I was there with them. And number two, the kids were so much happier to see me when I wasn't there all the time.
Right. I mean, they definitely, maybe that is true. That is true. And now my kids are older. It's probably also me feeling the missing the times, because I know I only have so many years left, such a short period of time that I have left to be with them, that I know too, and they don't want to be with me all that much anymore either. It's true.
It's just remarkable, isn't it, when we get these beliefs and we've created them years and years earlier, and somehow they have a knack of still sticking to us when perhaps it's no longer is accurate.
Right. I agree with you on that one.
I love that. Absolutely love that. What are things of wisdom that you wish you knew then that you know now?
When I first started, you're saying? Right before I started. Is that correct?
Just what do you wish you had known, when you started or earlier, even a year into it or 2 years into it, that you now know?
Okay. I wish that I would have liked to know, and I think it's really important. I will tell every woman business owner and every business owner to have a business plan. Have a really tight business plan. I think we tend to become, and I've talked to other women too about this, is that we become very passionate about our product or about something that we've developed. And sometimes the passion and the drive, and we're very driven. We get ahead of ourselves. I got ahead of myself.
Yeah.
And, I would have recommended, and I wish I knew, to have a very tight business plan that I didn't exactly have. That would be one thing I wish. I would say, some things seem better than they are in reality. I'd say make sure you know.
Give me an example. Give me an example of that.
I think I tend to get my expectations of things are always really high. I always expect the best, everything's going to be great, nothing could ever not be. And I think it's important to have that mindset, but also not to get so disappointed every time that it doesn't meet your expectations. I think I tell myself that all the time. People aren't going to act the way you assume they're going to act. That is the thing. I guess I would say it's naive in a way that I feel that people should act that I would act or do things the way I would do it. And I'm always surprised when they don't.
And so how would you term that today?
How would I term it?
How would you say that today? That
yes, take everybody for what they are, what they show you, and be okay with what they show you, and realize that everybody's their own person. Everybody has their own path in life, and it doesn't mean they have to get on your path.
Right. Right.
And so don't let others that aren't on the same path as you get on your path. That's what. Yeah. That would be what I would say, is that, and not that people, because I don't believe people are bad or good. I think that people are solar people. Like, they have a soul and they have a path that they're going to take, and it just doesn't always have to be on your path.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah, that's always good to know, right? That allows themselves. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And what's the third?
The third. I wish I knew.
You wish you had known then that you know now.
That I could have just sold the babies. I wish I never had kiosks.
You wish you had just sold the cookie babies and not have the kiosk?
Yes. But to wish something like that is not a good wish, because then I would never be where I am. I do believe that it definitely made me into what I have become. So I don't think that would be good. So.
Okay. Well, it's interesting. You just kind of said it, and that is, we experience everything that we experience to get us where we are today. So, so it's not a matter of looking at anything really as failure. It's rather looking at, if it doesn't turn out the way we wanted or we close down something, it's just feedback, right? I mean, you really did get feedback in that regard.
Right. No, I did. I really did. And I really have learned so much in the world of business and cookies just from my last 4 years in doing this business and being a part of it.
I love how you are doing classes, some cooking classes. So can you just kind of share with everyone what these cookie classes or not even just cookie classes, they're cooking and baking classes. Could you share a little bit, because I find it to be fascinating, and of course, I am going to be part of that beautiful tradition in a couple of weeks, and I can't wait. So can you share with our listeners what the fun things you have planned and what you've done?
Yes, this is something I'm really excited about, and I am very passionate about this also. I love to cook, and I've done a lot of cooking in my life, and especially after pharmacy school, I learned we were making drugs, but it relates to cooking also, because you're cooking, recipes. Everything's a recipe. And so I got very passionate about cooking, and so because the babies grew so large and we're not really producing them so much out of my Santa Monica bakery, I was able to change the Santa Monica bakery somewhat to the back of the house. I'm able to open it up to give cooking classes. And what it entails is I demo, and we do all different things. I do a girls' night on Monday nights where, last Monday we made fresh pasta, made different sauces, and my famous Caesar salad. And we had some wine, and it was great. And so what I do is I demo the classes, and everybody gets their own station and workstation and stovetop, and they create the same dish. And so it really teaches confidence in the kitchen and the ability to make a delicious meal. And you don't have to clean up or do any measuring. Everything's done for you. So it's a very relaxing, I find it very relaxing, and it's just a really fun time, and relaxing and fun, and we make delicious food. And so I would love anybody to come, and we do different events too. We can have events there. And so this is kind of a passion project I've put together. And so I've loved it. I've always loved to teach. And so this gives me the opportunity. We even I'm doing some camps this summer. I'm doing one Business 101, like in a restaurant, how to open and run your own bakery or restaurant where we're doing calculations, but we're also learning to cook. And we also have a Top Chef Junior camp where we're going to have kids go head to head. So we have some fun things going on.
Oh, that sounds like such fun. Such fun.
Right. I had my son in the bakery a few days ago making donuts that we made. So we've had some fun.
I love that. So is it safe to say your boys love to cook or to bake as well?
You know what? I just really, it's important to me that they know how to cook, that they know how to do something in the kitchen. I can't say that they love to cook. I think I think they appreciate when they have made something that they like and that they did it themselves. I think they really appreciate it. And I think any child would. And, they've made steaks for me and things like that, and they get very excited about cooking. And my husband didn't know how to open a can with a can opener. So I really want them to know how to do something in the kitchen.
Well, I'll tell you, I think the days, Rachel, where men didn't know how to cook in a kitchen, I think those days may be over. What do you think?
I think they are. Definitely.
I think they are. I love that. What is the best way for our listeners to get in touch with you?
Yes, we have Jackie's. So my cookie store the name has become Jackie's Art Studio Cafe. And because we're now serving sandwiches and different things, and it's not all about the cookies, but the cookies are obviously a major part of it.
Right.
And so that's a great way to look at the classes and things and be able to sign up for them. It's called Jackie's Art Studio Cafe.com. Also, Jackie's Cookie Connection.com is where you can order cookies and babies and contact us also. So there
I love
are two
that.
ways to kind of get in touch with us.
And what is your Instagram handle? I love Instagram.
It's Rachel .Galant. So,
Awesome.
yes.
All right. Well, Rachel, thank you so much for sharing so much of your wisdom and some of the hard knocks, but the great lessons that came from them.
Yes. I agree.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Ruth. I really appreciate it. Bye.
Thank you for joining Generation Why Not. We look forward to receiving any questions you may have, as Ruth will be answering them on this podcast. Follow Ruth.Klein on Instagram or email rklein@ruthklein.com. Until next time, a short reminder that success is driven by attitude, not age.